What's going on, guys? This is Lior with Compass out of Boston. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys the ultimate guide to buying your first home. So with that, let's get at it. What's going on, guys? My name's Lior and I'm a realtor with Compass out of Boston. And as I said, I'm excited to do this very in-depth and full guide on everything you need to know if you're thinking about buying your first home. Now, before we jump into everything that's involved, two quick things. Number one, guys, if this is your first time on my channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. It helps me out a ton, helps me put out more content for you guys so you can learn all about what it's like to live around the Boston area, as well as everything you need to know about real estate here. And number two, if you guys are thinking about doing anything with real estate, whether it's buying, selling, investing, whatever it is, it blows my mind how many of you guys that watch my videos actually call me, and I still love it every single time that happens. So if you're thinking about making any moves with real estate around the Boston area, make sure you hit me up and I will definitely help you out. So with that, let's get right at it. And before we jump into all the nitty-gritty details of buying a home, we first got to kind of take a step back and talk about, before you make that decision of, okay, yes, I'm going to go buy my first home, let's talk about where you need to be mentally, financially, and kind of your goals and plans for the next couple of years. So let's start first about talking about financially, right? And more specifically about your cash, right? So here's the deal. It's typically not really advisable to drop all of your cash into a home purchase, right? So let's say, you're gonna get a loan where you have to put down a $50,000 down payment and you've got $50,000 saved up. I would strongly advise you not to do that, right? Because the thing with real estate is, to put it bluntly, shit happens, right? And what happens is, if you put all your cash into the home, what happens if you have an emergency, right? What happens if your water tank goes out in a couple of weeks, or you need some furnace repair, right? When I bought my very first home, right, within a month, I had a furnace go out, which meant I had to go drop $8,000. And even when I just bought my most recent condo in South Boston, within literally a month, I had an issue with my HVAC system, and again, had to drop $2,000 in repairs. So things happen no matter the condition, no matter the quality. So it's strongly advisable for you not to drop all your money into the down payment so that you have additional reserves in case anything goes wrong. Next, you also got to figure out your monthly budget, right? Because you're going to be applying for a mortgage, most likely, unless you're buying everything in cash. And with a mortgage, you're gonna have a certain monthly payment, right? So you need to figure out, before you even talk to a lender, hey, what am I really comfortable paying on a month-to-month basis on my mortgage, right? And you can base this off your several things, right? You can obviously look at your income, you can look at your expenses, you can obviously look also at what you're paying currently for rent, if you are renting, but really get honest with yourself and say, hey, what is the max monthly payment that I really want to take on right now based on all my financials, so that you really feel comfortable once you close. Next, you want to take a look also at your credit score, right? Because a credit score is going to be very important in the mortgage process, right? The stronger your credit score is, the better type of rates you can get on your mortgage. And if your credit is not that great right now, it might actually be very tough for you to go get a mortgage. Now, there's obviously certain exemptions to that I've done other videos on. If you get a specific loan product like FHA, they have lower credit score qualifications. But the long story short of it is, if you've got if you don't have a great credit score right now, before you really think about buying a home, I would focus on, how do I improve it, right? What bills can I pay off? What debt can I pay off? Because you ideally really want to try and push 700, if not more, on your credit score before you go apply for a mortgage. Now, like I said, certainly possible with mid 600s on the FHA side or other certain types of loan products. But as a general rule of thumb, that's where you want to be if you're going to be applying for a loan. Now, If you don't know how to check your credit score, my best resource for you is just go on Credit Karma. It's free. I actually check my credit score there all the time. Very easy to get a pretty good ballpark of where your credit score is, what sort of inquiries are on your credit score, and what you might need to do in order to increase it if that's the case for you. And finally, the last thing you will want to think about is what are your plans for the next 1 to 2 or 3 years, right? Because here's the deal. If you're going to be buying a home and then you're going to have to resell it within the next year or two, honestly, you're going to incur a lot of fees on both the buying side and selling side, right? You're gonna have a lot of mortgage fees on the buying side. You're gonna incur attorney fees, lots of closing costs on both sides. So if you're really not sure where you're gonna be next year or maybe in a year and a half, I would say maybe you don't go buy a home, right? Maybe you rent until you really figure out your plan, right? Because I just don't want you to get in the position where you go buy a house tomorrow, and then next year you have to go sell it. And honestly, unless the market really jumps up within a year, you're probably going to take a little bit of a haircut just because of all the closing costs involved in buying and selling real estate. All right, so let's say you went through all of those things are green lighted for you, you are good to go and continue the next step. Well, that next step now is gonna be, let's connect with a mortgage broker or a lender, right? To figure out exactly what you can get pre-approved for. Now, in this pre-approval process, they're gonna require quite a bit of documentation from you in order to issue a pre-approval. Lenders will ask you for things like income, right? If you're a W-2 employee, they're gonna ask you for pay stubs. They're gonna ask you for all your debt, right? Like what kind of debt do you have? Whether you own other property, but if you're a first-time home buyer, probably not the case for you. If you have car loans, student loans, anything like that. If you don't know off the top of your hand, obviously a lot of it will also be on your credit report, but it's good for you to know. So the lenders are going to use that financial information to create, to figure out things called like DTI, or your debt to income ratio, which is a big ratio in figuring out how much you can get a loan for. And they're of course going to be using your credit score in conjunction with all this to really figure out what kind of loan product you can truly get approved for and what total loan amount you can get. Now, one question I get all the time is, hey, Lior, well, I read online that, I need to go get pre-approved by multiple lenders, and kind of shop that rate. And here would be my point to you at this phase of the process, right? Right now, you're still not really throwing in offers. You don't have any property under contract. There's no real point to go shop for a rate, right? You don't need to go bother 3, 4, 5 different lenders right now, right? Because right now, ultimately, what you're trying to figure out is, hey, can I get one pre-approval letter and how much is that for, right? And once you actually get into the process of going to shop for real estate, which we'll talk about later on, that's when you can start talking to more lenders and really figuring out your different loan options, different rates, etc. But right now, you just need to prioritize on getting one pre-approval and figure out exactly what you can get pre-approved for. Now, the other thing that you're gonna have to consider too and work with the lender is figuring out different options for you on the loan side, right? Because as you've probably seen in my other videos, there's many different types of loan products on the residential side that can range from down payments as little as 3.5% all the way to 25%. And you have literally everything in between, right? You have loan options for 5% down, 10% down, 15% down, 20% down, 25% down. And you can work with your lender directly to, again, based on your financials, figure out what's the max loan amount, what's the max amount of cash I have to spend, and then really figure out the best financing strategy to go for your real estate purchase. Now, as you're doing this financing aspect, you also want to start to do some more serious research about, well, hey, where do I actually want to live, right? And this is where you're going to start thinking about lifestyle, right? Do I want to be in the city? Do I want to be in the suburbs? What's important for me? Do I need to be on a T-stop? Do I need to be by the water? Do I need to be by parks, right? You're going to really start figuring out what are the most important things that you can think of right now that are really important to you, and kind of start to create some sort of list of, well, yeah, I think I want to do maybe downtown Boston and maybe these kinds of neighborhoods. Or you know what, I want to go into the suburbs and I really like the North Shore, so maybe I'm going to look at around this area, right? So this is the point of the process where you start to do research on different cities, different neighborhoods, what the lifestyle is going to feel like, so that you can kind of start to create a list of different cities we're going to attack on searching homes for. Next, we're going to go more in depth now about figuring out what it is exactly you want from a home, right? And we're going to start by, hey, what actually type of home do you want, right? Do you want a condo? Do you want a single family? Do you want a multifamily, right? These are pretty important things you got to figure out. And even within that, you're going to have to get pretty specific, right? So if you say, well, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about doing a condo. Okay, so within condos, there are many different types of condos, right? Especially around Boston. You have condos that are literally condos split, one level, that are in small triple deckers or two families. You also have condos that are in bigger buildings like 10, 20, 50, 100 unit complexes, right? Is there a certain preference that you have for one versus the other? Not only condos, but maybe do you want to consider townhomes, or is that even a preference, right? A townhome would be multi-level unit that can maybe feel a little bit more like a single family, right? So based off of that, you're going to want to get pretty specific on, hey, I really want this kind of condo or this kind of townhome. I want it to be in a big complex. I want it to be in a small complex. I want certain amenities. I don't really care about amenities. This is really where you're going to have to start brainstorming about, what do I truly want from my home? And same thing with a single family side. Again, single families, yes, single families are single families. But again, you want to maybe start to think about different features of a single family, right? Do I want a ranch? Do I want a multi-level? Do I care about lot size? Do I care about yard space? What's really important for me and my family if I'm going to be buying this home, right? What do we really want out of this house? And then of course, besides the condos and single families, if you're considering buying a multifamily, that's another ball game completely, right? Because you're going to be probably living in one unit, renting out the other unit. And I've done other videos really talking about the things you need to think about if you're going to be trying to go down more of the investment path and buy a multifamily. Now, beyond just like the exterior package, you're also going to want to start to think about the interior, right? Like, what's important for me in a home, right? Am I, at a high level, am I looking to buy something that's completely turnkey, or am I okay buying something that needs a little work? If it's turnkey, do I want something that's maybe open concept? Do I care about that? Do I care if it's maybe older style? How many bedrooms do I need? How many bathrooms do I need? How much square footage do I need in my home? Do I need in-unit laundry if it's a condo? Do I care about that? Do I need parking if I'm buying a condo in the city? Do I not care about that? Right? You're going to get really, really specific about the different features of homes that really, really matter to you. Now, at this point in the process, as you're kind of starting to think about this, I think this is also the appropriate time to start to connect with a local realtor, such as myself or the many other realtors out there, right? And here's the deal with realtors, right? They can really help you hone down on this criteria, both in terms of different cities, right? If you talk to a realtor and you kind of tell them what you're looking for, they can suggest other cities or areas that you might have not thought about. They can obviously give you much more details about what it's like living in different types of condos, townhomes, complexes, different types of single families. And of course, they can talk you through the different features, what to expect in different neighborhoods at different price points. And the one question obviously that a lot of you might have is, well, is there a fee involved if I'm buying a home? Do I need to put a retainer out like a lawyer? And no, with realtors, you do not need to put out a retainer. And as a buyer, right, when you are actually going to buy a home, you don't actually pay your broker, right? Basically, the way it works in real estate, especially, in Massachusetts at least, is the brokers, both your broker, the buyer's broker, and the listing agent, right, the broker representing the seller, both actually get paid out of the seller proceeds. So no, there's no fees for you directly. So definitely connect with a broker because it basically is free for you, and have them guide you through that process. Now, once you've done that, the next step, the next phase in the process is really going to be to go and start looking at homes in person, right? Because online, it certainly is one thing, but looking at homes in person is completely different. I guarantee you, right? You're gonna once you start visiting homes in person, you're really gonna start to figure out exactly what you want, exactly what you like, right? You're gonna see in person, like, you know what? I thought maybe I wanted this, but now that I see it in person, I'm good. Or, you know what? I really, really do like this. I really maybe want like an island in my kitchen, or I really want certain type of layout. But once you go start visiting homes in person, things become much more concrete for you, and you'll really be able to figure out what it is exactly that you like, that you want, and that satisfy your needs and goals. Now, as you look at more and more homes, eventually you'll probably start to be ready to put in offers on homes, right? And this is where having a really good realtor really makes a massive difference, especially in a competitive market like Boston, because your realtor can essentially guide you on how to structure your offer, not only in terms of price is certainly one of those, but also in terms of terms, right? Sometimes we've been able to get good price when we kind of finagled a little bit with the terms. And what I mean by that is different contingencies, timelines, different aspects of negotiations that may or may not be important to the seller. So this is really where you're gonna work closely with your buyer's agent and figure out a strategy of, okay, how can we present the most attractive offer for this particular situation, knowing what we know about the property, knowing what we know about the seller, knowing what we know about the market as a whole as well, right? So again, this is where you're gonna work really, really closely and have your realtor guide you on how do we put together the perfect offer package for this specific situation. And once you actually get under contract, right, you formally get under contract, you get an offer accepted, your real estate agent is also gonna really be crucial in kind of quarterbacking the whole transaction, because transactions can be very, very stressful. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of different moving components, right? From everything from the home inspection to due diligence, to negotiating the purchase and sales, to making sure all the attorneys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, to staying on top of the lender, staying on top of the appraisals. There's just so many things that can go wrong in a transaction that most people don't really think about, which is fair because, you know, they've never really done that before. But believe me when I say this, there are a lot of different moving components, a lot of different, you know, variables that are, you know, are controllable if you know how to control them. But again, this is where you and your buyer's agent will work closely in hand to make sure the transaction goes as smoothly as possible for you, that everything kind of plays out in your favor, and that you're protected throughout, right? Especially if you're putting deposits down for the offer and the purchase and sales, making sure those deposits continue to be protected until you're ready to close. So, you know, this is really where having an amazing team, again, anchored by your agent, then you're gonna have your attorney, you're gonna have your lender, home inspector, etc. But this is where having a team is gonna be absolutely crucial and really define the success of your purchase. That's it in a nutshell, guys. That's kind of the full buying process at a high level. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, just shoot them below and I will help you out.